So you're about 3/4 of the way through your practicum, your placement, and you've realised that the honeymoon is pretty much over. So you're a pre-service teacher and you're on your prac and you're about 3/4 of the way through your prac. I thought I'd make a little video for you just talking about some of the things that you can expect this week and some of the things that you should strive for. So the honeymoon is over, meaning that the kids have gotten to know you and the novelty is a little bit over. They're not really, they're not looking at your interesting shoes or your interesting earrings anymore. They're just like realizing that you are there to do a job and that you want them to do some work. And so you might feel a little bit of pushback from the students around about now. This is when it's really important for you to stay consistent with your expectations and your rules and your procedures and your routines, the ones that you've established in line with your supervising teacher's system. Don't allow the students to push you off course on that because it's really important. You're not their friend, and they've probably realised by now that you're not their friend, that you've got friends your own age. You don't need to be friends with them. And so just be really firm on all of the expectations that you set up at the start of your practicum or your placement. Use the classroom management strategies that you've been taught. Talk about classroom management strategies with your supervising teacher because they will have heaps of tips for you because they know these classes really well. But it's really time for you to start to establish your authority for reals now. Use lots of I statements. I expect you to do this. What I asked for was that. By the end of this lesson, I would like to see that you've done X, Y, Z. All of those kinds of things really help. Use the space at the front of the classroom as your stage. Use your body, use your posturing and your body and your voice. They're all tools that you have up your sleeve to communicate your authority and to guide the students, because that's what you're there for. You're there to guide them. Don't forget also though that you don't just stay up the front of the classroom. Try to use proximity and to patrol. I say patrol, that's not really the proper word, but go around the classroom and just to make sure that everybody's on track and to offer assistance when needed. It's time to start introducing accountability for the students. So far you've been doing lots of fun, interesting, different activities and you've taught them a few things and that's really cool, but it's time for them to show you that they are working. It's time for them to show you that they are on task, completing the work and doing it to the best of their ability. Have a think about how you're going to establish that accountability with your students. Are you going to collect their books and look at their work? Are you going to issue that mini assignment that I talked about last week onto Google Classroom or however, on paper or however it's going to be? Are you going to do some exit slips? Are you going to do a quiz? How are they going to show you? How are the students going to show you? And do this in consultation with your supervising teacher to make sure that everything's above board that you're thinking of. But the students must be held accountable. They've got to, and you're there for 4 weeks, maybe even longer, so you've got to make sure that all of the work that they've done with you gets done and that they are progressing. Students have to be progressing. And if they're not progressing, I'll talk a little bit more next week about assessment, but if they're not progressing, what are you going to do about it? You also may have the need to issue consequences if students aren't doing the right thing, because now that the novelty's worn off of you being a new, interesting, fun, cool person, if you want them to change their behaviour, like if they are not meeting your expectations or if they are pushing the boundaries or whatever it is, then what kind of consequences are going to be issued? Like, if you don't do something, the behaviour won't change. Talk though, really closely communicate with your supervising teacher on this because they may have certain strategies that work really well with the class. Ask them for ideas if you're stuck. Run your ideas past them before you execute so that you're both on the same page and so that they can warn you if something may not work or they may steer you in a slightly different direction or they may say, fantastic, do that, go for it, I'd love to see you do that. You can't shy away from issuing consequences because whether you like it or not, teachers are in a role of authority and students need boundaries, and if they're breaking the boundaries, something has to happen. Otherwise, they will not change. Continue to use your questioning skills and strategies, and this can be useful for classroom management as well as for learning. Things like, why are you out of your seat? Where is your pen? Which question are you up to? Are you doing the right thing? Can you remember what I asked you to do? Using your questioning skills is a great way for you to outline your expectations, but do it in a gentler way than just standing over a kid and saying, I told you to do this, which is not very pleasant for anybody. So using questions is a really great strategy. Start to imagine what it might be like to have this class all the time. Like if this class was yours, and this is what I say to my student teacher, if this class was yours all the time, what would you do next? If this student was behaving this way, or if this student didn't do this particular task, what do you think you would do next if this was your class all the time? And start imagining yourself into that role, because when you're thinking more long term like that, it's sometimes easy to visualize what kinds of things, what kind of strategies that you might like to employ in order to get the result that you're after for the students. Remember, everything comes back to student learning. All of the activities and the fun stuff that you've experimented with this prac so far, how is that meeting student learning outcomes? And if it's not meeting student learning outcomes, then what are you going to do? How are you going to change it? How are you going to support students so that they can meet those learning outcomes if they're struggling to meet them? And when you picture yourself in that role as their teacher, sort of more long term, even though you're not going to be there forever, it sort of just helps you to see the bigger picture like that. Look at this little visitor. You scallywag. Yes, you are. Where did you go? Look at him. Even things like how will absent students catch up on missed work? Talk to your supervising teacher about what they do when the students are away, and what kind of record keeping do they use, and how will students show that they have completed the coursework? Like, are you going to do it on Google Classroom? Are you going to issue a homework club or a kind of a detention system, which is not detention as such, but to assist students to catch up on whatever they've missed? Where do you store the worksheets that they've missed, the handouts that they've missed, and how do you ensure that every student is going to complete that particular thing to the best of their ability? Ask the teacher, how do they do all of that? Like, how do they store their data? How do they keep track of who's done what? Maybe you can implement a kind of mini system similar to theirs for the last couple of weeks of your prac, because record keeping is really important. Keeping students accountable is really important. Maintaining classroom management is really important, and making sure that students are meeting or working towards learning outcomes is really important. It's also time to ask if you can have a look at the scope and sequence. You probably should have already done that at the start, but it's a good time to revisit the scope and sequence and see how curriculum and programming and all of that fits in with the scope and sequence for this particular school that you're at. It'd be really interesting for you to have a look at that and to see how your lessons are fitting in with that as well. It's a good time to ask about any organisational systems that the teacher might have. Not just data collection, but just, the paper and keeping on top of everything, because teaching is such a massive job. You've probably realised by now how complex and massive it is. So pick your supervising teacher's brains on what they do, what systems they have in place, and you might be able to adopt some of those for yourself when you finally graduate and have your own classes. I wanted to include this question and answer in this video for any other student teachers who may be feeling the same way. So after my last video, I got this question from Olivia from the University of Newcastle, and she is a second year education student. Hi Olivia. And she gave me permission to say her name and to answer this question. So here goes. Her question was, I'm a second year teaching student about to go on my first prac. I'm just wondering how you would suggest to overcome that first hurdle of actual teaching. It's very much sink or swim, because obviously we haven't been in a classroom in over 2 years, nor have we been in that setting as a teacher. From Olivia. So that's a really great question, Olivia. Thanks for asking it. I hope that I'm able to answer it satisfactorily for you. So first of all, yes, that's a very tricky situation to be in. I remember when I was, early uni days, and you're like, what? I don't know how old you are, but I was 18 years old on my very first prac, because we did our first prac in our first year. And so if you're a high school teacher, you're standing up in front of kids who are like maybe a year, maybe 2 years younger than you are. And it's such a weird dynamic. I totally get that. It is so weird. And if you've got high school males and you're a female, then you've got that whole weird sexual thing going on where they kind of look at you and you feel uncomfortable, you know you're in a position of authority, and you're just totally weirded out by it. So I really understand. That does go away as you get older, so it's all good. But what you have to do is this is what I would suggest. First of all, preparation is everything. So make sure before you're standing up in front of the class that you are prepared, that your lesson plan is done, and not only done, that it's thoroughly done, that you get it checked by your supervising teacher and ask them any questions that you have about the lesson itself. Is my timing okay? Do I have enough content? Do I have enough activities? Will the kids be occupied for a long enough time? How does this fit in? Does this fit in properly with the scope and sequence? Am I doing it all right? So spend time with the preparation. Spend a lot of time with the preparation and getting it checked. Also with your preparation, make sure that you have all of your resources beforehand, know where they are, know how to use them, and just double check everything like that. The other piece of advice that I would have for you is really dig deep into the confidence that you have. Visualize yourself doing it, visualize yourself standing up in front of the class, and visualize yourself succeeding at it. I know that's really tricky and it seems a bit new agey, but really that's all that you can do. On the day, take a deep breath, smile, be friendly, be really, really friendly. I don't believe in that thing that says don't smile until Easter, blah, blah, blah. Smile, be welcoming to the students, try to make a connection with them as they come in the door, greet them at the door. Try to be one step ahead of them in that you're there early to the classroom, you're there at the door waiting for them when they come in, and you've got everything prepared and ready to go. With the preparation, I just forgot to mention, make sure that you have an extra activity, have a little bit more than you think that they will do, because it's way better to have too much than not enough for the students to do or for you to cover in the lesson. Just because you can have that as a backup in case you get all freaked out and you just rush through everything and then you think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? So have something extra up your sleeve as well. The other thing that I would suggest is really spend some time thinking about how you liked being treated as a student, and some of the things that your favourite teachers did and how they did it, and try to emulate that for your first few lessons until you get your own little style happening. Emulate what you liked as a student, and you will be nervous. It's normal to be nervous. Remember that you're taking on a role. Remember that teaching is a role. And so while you've got to be yourself, you're also in a role of authority and a facilitator and a guide and a director and all of the things. So try to imagine yourself in that role and just go for it. I wish you all the best, Olivia. I'd love to hear back from you how you go in your first prac, especially that very, very first time that you stand up in front of the class. I personally absolutely loved that feeling of standing up in front of the class, and I still love it every day, and so I hope that you come to love it as well. Good luck and welcome to one of the greatest jobs in the world. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them for me in the comments section here, or you can direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. I shall see you next time. And some of the things that I've got a sun issue again. This is when it's really important for you to stay really consistent. This is when, Also, it's time, there's a plane going over, I'll just wait a second. You may have the need, oh, go away plane, you take too long. Start to imagine, there we go. That's pretty much, for pre-service teachers. There's a bird right above me, it's freaking me out. Where are you, bird?